Welcome to Podnastics. My name is Jakob Daniel, and along with my friend and co-host Christian Marsh, we interview gymnasts and let them tell their stories. From college-level gymnasts to Olympic stars, we're going to cover it all. This is Podnastics. Yo, what's up, Pod Nation? Welcome to another episode of Podnastics. I am your 5'7" Hobbit host, Jakob Daniel, and I am joined, as always, with Christian Marsh. Let's get into it. Marsh, how about you tell the audience what you're going through right now?
Oh, I've had a lovely morning, Jake. So I'm in Chicago visiting a teammate and a good friend of mine, and my flight out was apparently at 11 this morning. I say was and am in Chicago because I missed it. I checked my flight like 40 times, I swear, but I kept looking at my time to fly to Chicago instead of back to Virginia for school. So I thought my flight was at 4 p.m. and woke up at, 10:30, expecting to like get breakfast, do the interview, and like got the notification your flight board's in 20 minutes. And I was like 26 minutes away from the airport. So bit of a chaotic morning. Had to go to the airport, get my flight switched, come back and hop on the call. But I'll hang out in Chicago for a bit longer, get to see my friend.
Yeah, to Marsh's credit, this was a very last minute. The girl that was supposed to come on the pod this week canceled last minute, no fault of their own. But we really wanted Jake from the get-go. I've been trying to get him on for weeks, but obviously he's a grown adult man with a wife and a family and a job. So it was actually perfect timing that I texted him and he was like, I can get on this weekend if you want. And I went full fan on Marsh. I'm like, this is it. This is our big break. Jake wants to come on the pod. And I mean, Jake's a great guy, as you're going to hear on the pod today. I've gotten to know him over the past couple of years, and I arguably, and you'll hear it on the pod, I arguably think for a moment he was the face of men's gymnastics.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, growing up, yeah, doing men's gymnastics in America during like the 20 teens, I was asked literally all the time if I like knew who the gymnast with the giant biceps was. Like, oh, do you know like the really hot gymnast? And I'm like, Jake Dalton. And they'd be like, yeah, him. And I'm like, I've never met him, but I am familiar with his game.
Well, we're excited to get into all the questions today here on Podnastics with our guest, Jake Dalton, happening right now on Podnastics. I've had those problems with Apple products before too, where
Yeah.
it's like I have a Mac, I have an iPhone, I have AirPods, I have like anything Mac related, and then I'll try to get them all to sync up, and they won't do it, and I don't know why
Yeah.
I'm paying for all this Mac stuff when I can probably go get
Yeah.
an Android for cheaper.
Yep, yep. I don't know. Yeah, whatever. Got it to work.
All
So
right. Well, in that note, Jake, welcome to the show, dude. We are so excited to have you on. I know I've been trying to get you on. You were the first person I ever texted that we were doing the show. I was like, "Hey, I'm
nice.
starting this podcast. I really want you to come on." And you were like, "Yeah, just give me like a month or two and we can make this happen." And it's been a month or
Yep.
two, and I'm super excited to have you on. I know this was last minute. I know you got plans today. So, thanks for coming on and being able to bust this out real quick.
Of course.
Yeah, who the heck are you, man, for our listeners?
So I'm Jake Dalton. Obviously, grew up out here in Nevada, two-time Olympic gymnast now. Went to Oklahoma, as you could see. So pretty much just spent my whole life in the gym. That's about it.
So, what age did you start doing gymnastics?
I was about 5 or 6 when I started. And I actually started because I had a baseball coach. I was doing a bunch of sports, but baseball was this one I was doing. And I had a baseball camp, and one of the coaches told me I should do gymnastics because it would help my pitching arm with strength and everything like that. So that's kind of actually how I got started.
That's interesting.
It's a cool story.
I've never heard that relation with baseball and gymnastics, man.
Me neither, but yeah, I guess that just kind of initiated the conversation and started doing both.
The coach was just like, man, Dalton's not pitching great. Should we give him drills? No, I'm
Yeah.
just gonna send him to do just some gymnastics. Maybe he'll like that
Yeah,
better.
probably saw my height and was like, he's probably not going to be a major league pitcher, so we'll send him to gymnastics.
Real.
So, at what age do you think you got pretty serious about it? Like, was it an instant thing you fell in love with, or did it take time?
I think I loved it from the beginning, but I was so little. I was probably like nine-ish, 10 when we ended up moving a little bit closer to the gym because we were like 45 minutes away. And that was kind of the point where we were doing baseball and other sports and gymnastics and competing, and it got kind of crazy. And that was kind of like a deciding factor was, okay, am I going to stick with these sports or am I going to stick with gymnastics? And decided to stick with gymnastics. So we ended up quitting the other sports and moving a little bit closer. So that was kind of when it really started to get a little more serious. But I mean, I think more in terms of like the Olympic level, probably when I was like 15 was when things got a bit more serious.
Was there anything that like just resonated with you at that age? Where you're like, this is what I want to do. I want to go to the Olympics. Was there like something in you that just snapped where you're like, this is who I got to be? I have got to be Jake Dalton, two times Olympian.
No, I think I started from the very beginning, always wanting to go to the Olympics. I remember watching previous Olympian Mitch Gaylord and one of his famous gymnastics movies, and I remember, wanting to go to the Olympics and do the whole thing from a young age. But it wasn't until later when, probably when I made my first national team was when it was a little more feasible. It looked a little more realistic.
What movie was it? Was that American Dream or oh my gosh.
American Anthem. Yeah,
Yes. Oh my
yeah, yeah.
gosh. It's funny that you just quoted a gymnastics movie. I was gonna do a joke where I was like, "Yeah, I wanted to go to the Olympics when I watched Jim Cotta with Kurt Thomas,
Yeah. Yeah, there's
which
another one.
is one of the all-time worst movies and best gymnastics movies of all
I've
time."
actually never seen it. I've heard a lot of people talk about it, but yeah.
But
American Anthem, and then my sister loved Nadia, so that was the two that we watched.
that's so funny that you just said that on the pod. I'm gonna clip that for sure and tease it for the
But
next.
it could be great.
So walk me through the Olympics a little bit. You're our first Olympic guest. I would love to kind of hear about that experience from your first Olympics to your second Olympics.
Yeah, the first one, it's just kind of overwhelming. It's just crazy. There's a lot going on. You have a lot of media. It's just everything's so much larger than, the previous competitions, whether it's nationals or even worlds, but there's still a lot of media, but the Olympics is just crazy. Like I said, there's a lot of things where you could get distracted, so you got to stay focused and maintain your vision of why you guys are there. But it's just a cool experience. And like I said, that first one is just eye-opening, overwhelming, a lot going on, and you're just doing what you can to stay focused. And then I'd say the second one was you kind of understand what's going on a little more. It's easier to stay focused, but you're still maybe a little more stressed because you know the weight of the Olympics. It's maybe your last one or the second one. You don't know how many you're going to have under your belt, and so a little more stress to kind of try to perform at that level at the right time.
What an answer right there. Yeah, man. I mean, so me and Marsh were talking about it before you popped on, but arguably for at least me, I think after that first Olympics, you kind of became the face of men's gymnastics. And I arguably would still say you're in that circle of still most talked about men's gymnast. I mean, you debuted, you came out like big muscles, built like an 80s action star, and you and all the guys came to represent.
Yeah,
I know Steven did great this summer. All the guys did great
yeah,
this summer. They
yeah.
put us back on the map for a second. But there was just something in the air with that 2012 and 2016 Olympics with you guys where you set this standard with it's like, man, we are just the biggest Arnold and Sylvester Stallone looking mofos out here. And
Yeah.
arguably I would think that at that I'm not trying to say gymnasts haven't been buffed before. That's not true at all. There's been plenty, but there was a moment where my friends looked at me and they're like, "Yeah, we were watching some gymnastics highlight, and this is 2012. I'm in high school." And I'm like, "Yeah, like man,
Okay.
they killed it." And one of my buddies looks at me and he goes, "So why aren't you built like that?"
Oh
You know?
my gosh.
He poked my stomach and he was like, "Where's the eight
Uh,
pack?"
that's rough. That's rough. Everybody's built different. But no, I appreciate it, man. I think we were just patriotic, man. And a lot of us went to college on those teams, so we understood what it was like to compete as a team and be there for each other and for our country. And competing for our country means a lot to all of us. So we were all, I think, just all kind of on that same page of, just patriotic, and we're here to do a job. And obviously we fell a little bit short of that. We, hopefully we're going to be top three. And we went into day one, both of those, I think, winning. So we were pretty hopeful to get on the podium. And, it's the Olympics, small mistakes, and it drops you pretty quick. But I wouldn't change anything for the world. And definitely stoked for these guys this year getting on the podium. I was actually on a flight taking off, trying to like watch as much as I could before I got in trouble for having my phone on. And I watched them be able to get the medal. So that was pretty cool.
That's awesome. And now, you're a former gymnast, former Olympian, and now you're a coach, man. This is your
Mhm.
first year coaching, or have you been coaching for a
It,
minute?
First year fully coaching our boys program and helping out on the girls side. Pretty much trying, kind of came into this position with our family's gym is trying to be more of have a management, position. But this year kind of jumped in full force coaching the boys. So it's been the first time like fully coaching the boys this season.
And what's that like? Did you always know you kind of wanted to be a coach, or was this something that kind of kicked in over time with your love for the sport?
So I've always coached, kind of where we met. I've coached camps and done clinics, and that's pretty much that was part of my living for the summertime and then management at our gym during the off season time for camps. I've always loved coaching, but it's a pretty large time commitment, so I never really planned on doing it full time unless, if I did, I probably would have tried to jump onto the position out at Oklahoma. I've been offered some NCAA positions as well on the women's side. But that time commitment with two little kiddos at home is kind of a lot, and I would like to maybe spend a little time outside of the gym. But yeah, so it kind of fell in my lap this year, just coaching full time. So we'll kind of see what the future holds. Definitely try to do what I can for these guys. It's been a fun season, and they've been doing an awesome job.
Oh, that's awesome. Like Jake said, I also did meet him at a gymnastics summer camp. That's how I actually like get most of
Mhm.
the guests on the show is that they're my buddies from Flip Fest. And I want to tell this story real quick since Jake just brought up his kids. It's the summer of like 2016, 2017. Like I said, Jake is like arguably the face of men's gymnastics, and I'm a counselor at this point, and I think it's just cool that Jake's talking to me because I'm fanboying out. I'm like, oh my gosh, the Olympian wants to talk to me. And I have like the older kids in my cabin, and they were also geeking out. They're like, oh my gosh, Jake Dalton's here this week. What a week for men's gymnastics. And they just start going like, God, it's Jake. It's our buddy Jake. Oh my God, he's the best. And then one of them starts calling him Daddy Dalton. And they
Oh
were like,
no.
yeah,
Oh
it's
no.
Daddy Dalton. He's our father. Like this is, and I
Okay.
remember going to that kid and like grabbing his
Uh,
shirt and being like, you are like, you're gonna get me fired. You need to knock this off. And like it spread like wildfire. All these kids were like, dude, Jake's the best. He's our father. Daddy Dalton. But the funny thing is, when Jake announced that he was about to have a kid, and then he had the kid, I texted him. I was like, "Hey, finally living up to that title as Daddy Dalton.
yeah.
Good for
There we
good for you,
go.
buddy."
Yeah, I remember everybody, it literally happened like overnight at one of the camps, and it was like, where did this come from? Like, am I missing something here? I have no idea what's going on, but I still remember you texting me. It was awesome. And now look at got two little kiddos, and I'm sure they're making a ruckus in the other room. So hopefully they're not being too loud.
That's awesome. Well, that's all I got for my side. I'm going to throw it over for our Patent Marsh questions. These are very intense gymnastics questions. I hope you're ready.
Nice.
He's been thinking about it all day. Marsh, take it away.
Yeah, no, thanks. Thanks for coming, Jake. I'm gonna preface
Of
as well
course.
with so I went to William and Mary, or still go to. I did my 5 years on the team through undergrad and in my last year of law school now. And so
Nice.
I was lucky enough to go to NCs 3 times. And all 3 times I ended up getting to rotate with Mark Williams and the Sooners. And so I am a big Oklahoma fan, just putting that out there. I was actually talking to him like earlier in the week. Um,
Nice. I love it.
yeah, they're such nice guys. For you can be intimidated by how good they are at gymnastics and how hyped they get watching their routines from afar. And I met them and they were just boys, like immediately.
Yep.
It was really cool.
That's awesome to hear. I love it.
All right, so kicking it off with, do you have or like did you have any pre-meet or pre-routine rituals that helped you get in the right headspace or that you just needed to do so that you wouldn't freak out about it later?
Nothing too crazy. I tried to keep everything pretty consistent. That was just my thing. Always kind of like a light breakfast. I always tried to eat something similar or the same. And then it was more of not necessarily like a routine. I just got into kind of my headspace of like, I kind of get quiet, my family and my wife and when back in the day, girlfriend at the time was they kind of understood the mode that I get into. I get quiet. I'm not like trying to expend too much energy and I'm just focused and ready to like go to the meet and get it done. Small little things, stretching, morning little stretches before we head to the gym and get the body going. But yeah, nothing too crazy. Just try to keep it as consistent as possible.
Fair enough. Yeah, some people get real head casey about it. I actually stopped setting like the parallel bars and pommel horse, like the width,
Yeah,
because I messed up on it once, and I was like, never again. So like just to remove it as a variable.
right.
So that's cool. Right. So you're also, yeah, you were, big four vault guy, world
Mhm.
medalist, and just incredible tumbler. And so developing that air sense, was it something natural that like came easy to you, or did you have to work for it? Like I get, if you threw me up like in front of the ocean, I wouldn't find water. I've got no air awareness, and it's been an absolute grind to develop it. So did you have to work, or did it come easy?
I mean, I think it was a combination. We definitely worked at it. I was lucky enough to have a coach who she let us play on trampoline a lot as young athletes. A lot of the time it's like, let's go to tramp and they think about playing around, but we would actually get to go play. And I thought it was cool to try to do like X Games kind of tricks and then even combination with gymnastic stuff. And we would use tumble track. So we were flipping a ton and doing a lot of air awareness, but it was more like it was in a fun way when we were young. And I think we did that so much and we would play games they would make, twisting games where a half was a point if you stuck a back half or if you stuck a back full, and then make it this kind of game you have to get to a certain number and everybody was kind of involved. So I really credit a lot of the trampoline and the tumbling work that we did as young athletes. So yes, it was a lot of work, but it was also fun and I loved it. And once you got better at the air awareness, it just made it even more fun to try to challenge yourself.
That checks out. Very cool. All right. So with that in mind, do you have a favorite skill? I mean, I feel like every week I see that video of you sticking at Tamayo go viral again. So that's one you're super well known for. You also did what? Whip double Arabian Pike, if I recall. Yeah, you
Yep.
you are a real good sticker. Do you have a favorite skill? Was it even on floor?
I'd have to say, the Arabians were fun for sure. Maybe like a double double, just, full and full out, anything like that was super fun. The double Arabians were awesome. Trying the double pike, trying to come out and stick those, definitely challenging. But just the movement of a double double, full in, full out, and being able to spot it and try and stick is probably one of the favorites.
Okay, cool. So you say they upgraded the Arabian skills again this code. So like Arabian double pike is back up to an E.
Pretty wild, pretty wild. It's crazy how they change the code all the time where it can either help or hurt you. But yeah, this one might have helped me a little bit if I wasn't so old.
Hey, man, it's never too late for a comeback. I encourage
Yeah,
everyone to do some more adult gymnastics.
right, right.
All
Uh,
right. And so it touched on like, yeah, you being a world medalist and all, of course. Do you have a favorite medal that you won? And was it even one of your world medals? Because I know some of my like favorite awards that I've won were from, small meets or, NCAA related events or like even something from club.
I say there's probably a couple. I think the first world medal we won as a team in 2011 was probably one of my favorite. It was in Tokyo, and I think that was the first time we medaled as a team in like 8 years at Worlds. So that was kind of that wasn't my first world team, but it was my first world medal. It was the first team world medal, and it just felt like we were getting the guys back on track and kind of up our ante in the on the world stage. And then I'd say probably I think it was 2013, my silver medal at Worlds on floor was another cool one. And then I still keep the picture to this day because it was Kohei was in third, Kohei Uchimura, one of the best gymnasts ever to be around, if not the best, and probably gonna be the best ever. And then Kenzo Shirai, he ended up winning, and I was in second. So to be on that kind of stage with those athletes was pretty surreal and a pretty cool moment too.
Yeah, that's nuts. Yeah, I mean, those guys are different animals. Like the things they were
Yes.
were are ca capable of. I mean, Kenzo, I feel like I still see videos of him doing like late trip dub on floors, like an equipment tester or whatever.
I still have one of the funniest stories, man, because he came on later in my career and I saw the routines that they were doing, and their floors are a bit bouncier than our AIs. And I was just like, man, this guy's amazing, but I just don't see him making these routines on other floors. And then he continued to prove me wrong every competition. It was awesome. He was amazing.
Uh, that's awesome. That is so real. All right. And moving into my next and I think my last one, do you have any like humble flexes or brags about yourself that something you might be proud of that you did or accomplished that people might not know about? Like for example, when we asked Riley, he was like, "Yeah, I actually didn't miss an entire routine in all of 2021."
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things, again, going back to the consistency thing, I think Mark told me when I was done, I don't think I ever fell or missed a routine when it was counting for the team. So throughout my whole career on all the teams that I was at for Worlds and Olympics, I think I'm like 100% hit rate for those. I think I'd have to double check, but I think he told me that, and I just remember him saying something like that, and I was like, oh man, that's pretty cool.
That is incredible. Wow.
Yeah, pretty crazy. I don't know. Again, I don't know if it's true or not, but I was pretty proud when he told me that.
Well deserved.
Yeah, that is absolutely nuts. Jake, so I got a question for you, man. And I feel like a lot of people don't know this about you, but you have a YouTube channel that's actually not dedicated to a ton of gymnastic stuff. It's the 1000 Hobbies YouTube channel. I would love to hear a little bit about that and put you on through this podcast because I'm subscribed. I follow the Instagram page as well.
Awesome, man. I love it. Thank you. Yeah, man, it's something I love doing. I do it when I have the time and would love to continue to grow it. But I really just started it because once I finished my career, doing gymnastics my whole life, we spent most of every day inside the gym 6 days a week. And so when I moved home, I wanted to get into some other hobbies and interests. And I got into fly fishing with a buddy of mine and, got into some jujitsu and now into some archery, been doing that and just kind of documenting, learning it and getting better at all of these different hobbies and getting outdoors and doing something different. So yeah, it's been super fun. I really love doing it and learning something new all the time is kind of keeping my brain refreshed and motivated and excited.
Yeah, what's the most current thing that you're doing? Do you have anything you're doing right now that you haven't posted about or?
Not that I haven't posted about. I keep things pretty up to date. Jiu-jitsu's been pretty constant over the last like 5 years, but the archery stuff is kind of the newest one. I just got a new bow. I've had a bow, the same bow for the last couple of years, so I just got a new one and been kind of setting that all up and getting it sighted in, and just been tinkering with that quite a bit.
Yeah, what made you get into the archery? Like it was either a Hunger Games marathon or man, you turned on Endgame and you're like, Hawkeye doesn't get enough credit for what he's doing with all 10 of those arrows. Before he's like, guys, I'm out. 10 arrows, that's all I got.
Yeah, yeah, no, not Hunger Games. I don't know, man. I've had friends who once I got into fishing, they invited me to go hunting, and I just was never into, I had family that hunted, but I was just like, no, I'm good. And I was listening to some podcasts about people talking about archery, and it kind of reminded me when they were talking about it, how like you don't think of anything else, your mind's shut off, you're focusing so much on, doing your shot. And so that kind of intrigued me. So I was like, all right, maybe I'll go get a bow and just see what it's about. And once I started shooting, it was totally true where you're focusing on so many things at one time, and you're not thinking about anything else. And so it was challenging. And that's what intrigued me. So yeah, I just kind of heard about it, thought it'd be fun, and went and shot one and kind of got hooked from there.
That's great. What belt are you in jiu-jitsu right now?
I just got my brown belt
Um,
recently. So
Absolute stud right there. I did jiu-jitsu for 2 years and I have about four stripes on my white belt, but like I had to drop it. Unfortunately, I was just a little too busy trying to build my career up and get like a better job. But I never forget going in when you're a white belt, at least where I was training, that was like you were the go-getters. It's like, yay, I'm here to learn. And my teacher, he would just put me against like he's like, all right, get in there, go wrestle the purple belt, go learn some stuff. And I mean like, oh my gosh, just face to the mat, like arm bars. It was the best Saturdays and also the worst. Like I remember one time I got thrown to the ground. I put my arm out too quickly and like hit like a rocket. The guy was pinning me and I'm slapping. I'm like, I'm down, let go of me.
yeah, man, it's It's a brutal thing. When I first started, I was trying to hit, 4 to 5 days a week. I was pretty consistent with it for a long time. I do about 3 days a week now if I can. But no, it's that first few months where you just don't know anything and you're just getting your butt handed to you by pretty much everybody. It's brutal, but it's like one of the most, that's what attracted me. It was like, wow, like I've got to learn this. I want to get better. But the first few months is definitely pretty brutal. You're just
Yeah.
getting your butt kicked. I remember I felt like I got hit by a train. My friend called me after the first day and he was like, "How was it?" And I was like, "I'm exhausted. I feel like I got hit by a train. My head is throbbing." Like just because you're new and you're putting 100% effort, you don't know what you're doing and you're still getting your butt kicked. So yeah, I encourage everybody to go. And we've got a solid group of guys there that, they'll kick your butt, but they're also there to help too, which was a cool thing where I felt like I missed that with the gymnastics. I didn't have the buddy to train with anymore, so now I've kind of got that again, which is cool.
Yeah, that's all I got for that. I think I just personally want to say, I think it's really cool getting out there and trying obviously new things, especially when you're a dad, man. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
give enough credit to my dad for like, hey, you had us, and I really like that you made us your focal point, man. I don't say
Yeah.
that enough. But
Yeah.
I think that's great, man.
Yeah, it's wild, man. And you think once you have your kids and you see them growing up, you appreciate your parents more because you realize how much that your parents did for you where you didn't realize that before. So it definitely makes me thankful to have a family and thankful for my parents. So I get what you're saying on that for sure. I'm doing that constantly.
All right. Well, I'm gonna throw
Yeah.
it over to Marsh for final thoughts. Marsh, what do you got to say?
Just that having yeah, a YouTube channel of 1,000 hobbies is not only very cool, but the most gymnast thing I have ever heard in my entire life. Every gymnast I know has like 1.5 million hobbies, myself included. I have a teammate who actually put it into words really well that his hobby is having hobbies. I don't know what it is about
Yeah.
us. It's like we're always trying to learn something new. So like, yeah, between like every other gymnast I know being able to solve a Rubik's Cube, juggle. I also totally went through an archery phase. I went through like a
Nice.
crazy magic, like tragic magic trick phase. I learned how to do all the card stuff. It was right after that movie, Now You See Me. So
Yeah.
yeah, I related pretty hard to having just 1.5 million hobbies. It's like cool to like keep learning new things. It's like
Mhm.
replaces like, learning new skills in gym that you worked hard for, and like usually it doesn't hurt as much. So
Yeah, 100%. I always told people that's what attracted me about gymnastics. There was always a new skill to learn, something to perfect, something new all the time. And yeah, so I feel you right there with you on the hobbies. Always trying to learn something new and mess with something. So it's pretty fun.
Oh, awesome. Well, Jake, man, that's our show today. Any final thoughts for any gymnasts who might be listening? Anyone that could just use some Dalton wisdom?
Man, just keep getting after it. Do what you love doing, work hard, be consistent, just and have fun with it. Again, that's kind of where I'm at now with this hobby thing, just having fun, trying to enjoy it just because I love doing it. So it's fun. But thank you guys for having me on here. Jacob, it's good to see you, buddy. It's been a while. So thank you. And Marsh, good to meet you, man. So I think we've probably ran into each other before, but
yeah,
definitely cool being on here with you guys. It was fun.
I appreciate you not remembering me splitting my pants at camp in front of you. So
Oh, I don't remember that. That's awesome. What happened with that?
and dude, we were both on vaults, and I was setting the table, and I stood up too fast, and my like I don't even know how, but like the butt of my pants got caught, and I stood up, and it just split right in the crotch. And you heard the sound and looked at me, and I was like, dude, I just split my pants. I'll be right back, and I had to like run down the hill to change them.
Oh man, that's awesome. I
Yeah,
love it. I love it. Oh,
That's
good stuff.
that's crazy. All right. Well, for Podnastics, my name is Jacob Daniel.
I'm Christian Marsh.
He's gonna get
I'm
it.
Jake Dalton.
And that's our show. Good night,
Good night,
Chicago.
Chicago.